Hi, this is Shaylin Hayes-Raymond of the International Misophonia Foundation. I always forget which acronym it is. Sorry. So today is kind of a different video. I was originally going to make a horror story right now, but then I realized that there's a lot more I would like to tell about myself, my advocacy journey, and getting to the point where I'm at now, to the point where I've published a book, Misophonia Matters, on the condition. And I'm not trying to like pump that out here, but the class in the book do exist and it has coping skills. But I want to move on from that. And I don't want to talk about the present. I want to talk about the past. And when I started as an advocate, that was 10 years ago. I was an undergraduate student studying political science at a liberal arts university. And oh my, I thought that everything had to be black and white. Nothing could be a little out of order, that therapists did this, researchers did this, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, it was an approach that I had because I had no idea what I was talking about. I was new to the field. I was green and I didn't know what I was doing. I was a political science advocate and I wrote a book for Misophonia, and there we are. So I did kind of write out my story of what I wanted to say because I think that like it's too much if I just kind of spew word vomit everywhere. So I am going to read what I wrote, and I just wrote this right now, and then I'll probably elaborate after. So this is less of a horror story and more of a reflection. I'll follow it completely since it was more about getting it down on paper, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not sure if I'll do that. I've been an advocate for misophonia for 10 years. This journey began when I learned the name misophonia from my cousin, Ashley Bonin. Ashley is a very intelligent person, so she was quite good at figuring out what misophonia meant. And this was even though I didn't have your typical symptoms, I had more visual triggers. So it was actually quite amazing that she was able to find this and to link it up and find me this support community. And I am forever grateful to you, Ashley, for that. So thank you. After this discovery, I joined several groups on Facebook and got caught up in the weeds. I met several key players around this time: Dr. Jennifer Jo Brout, Joyce Cohen, Jeffrey Gould, Paul Dion, Marsha Johnson, Tom Dozier. Sorry, I should say Dr. Marsha Johnson. I didn't want to snub you there. There was a lot more inner fighting between advocates than you might imagine. At one point, there was a long public letter written by Dr. Johnson to set her side of the story straight because she felt like things were, getting tangled up together. I remember at the time I saw this letter as an attack. I saw her as her telling me to just go away, shut up. And when you give feedback to a university student and they're young, and any bit of criticism, instead of being, knowledge or learning, it's taken as, you hate me, you want me to leave, you're my enemy. So in retrospect, I think Dr. Johnson was just trying to teach me how to be a better advocate. But unfortunately, I am Irish and French, and I'm a country girl. I don't come from a city. Like, this is a whole new world for me. And I always say whatever comes off the tip of my tongue. And I've had to learn not to. Because just as a surprise mini announcement, I am officially a licensed counselor in Canada. I have the little provisional candidate on the side, but I am licensed to practice on my own. So I think it's LPC-C that I have now. So this honestly is all coming together at the same time as I am a counselor, and I am learning that, you can't control the world. There will always be behavioral analysts, there will always be hypnotists. And as long as whatever these practitioners are doing is legal and consensual, that's not up to me to care. I can only provide my thoughts on misophonia, how I feel it should be. And the rest, quite honestly, that's up to whatever God or faith or universe that you believe in. It's not my job to dictate who does what about what. So, just as a second thing here, I do want to personally apologize to Jeffrey Gould and Joyce Cohen. On Joyce Cohen's side, I really want to apologize for, you know, being super against her writing a piece about suicide in the New York Times. I think emotionally for myself, it was very hard for me. I've had a relative who died by suicide. And the thought that misophonia could lead someone to commit suicide was very, very devastating and scary for me because my misophonia was so bad. So even hearing or thinking about the fact that this woman ended her life because of it, it was too much for me. It freaked me out. I was horrified. And I'm sorry that I took that out on you when you were just trying to tell the story of your friend. And I don't know if Joyce will ever watch this, but if you do, Joyce, I am genuinely sorry for the way that I treated you. And moving on, Dr. Gould, not Dr. Gould, sorry, Jeffrey Gould, who is the creator of Quiet Please, the documentary. I want to thank you for putting so much time and energy into that documentary. I think it was a wonderful project. I think it still is. I recommend it to clients all the time, especially as a way to get their families to understand misophonia. And I do want to apologize to you for any part I played in being kind of crass or mean or saying like blah blah blah, the documentary should have been more research based. And I think that that was wholly unfair, especially when the community did crowdsource a lot. So there are some others like Paul Dion, the owner of misophonia.com, and Tom Dozier. And these are people who I've had deeper fights with than the others. But I still want to reiterate that even on the points that we disagree with, I am sorry for my part in being a catty little brat. I'm going to just call it that as a young adult. And I mean, I'm 30 now, no more 20s. I'm married. I'm an army wife. I don't know if that even matters in this context whatsoever, but I'm throwing it out there. I just want to hammer home that I'm not the same person who had all these fights. I've gone through a master's degree since then. I'm planning a PhD based in research now. Like the young woman who was upset about all these things, I did not understand what it meant to be involved in research or to be involved on a clinical level. And then once you're at a clinical level, you realize you are not just helping symptoms or, you know, some on the paper right or wrong of what should absolutely black and white be done. This is a real individual human, and they have different co-occurring disorders. They have different thoughts, feelings, perspectives, what they want out of it. So in the real world, there needs to be room for lots of different types of practitioners. And so for Tom Dozier, you know, I still don't agree with renaming misophonia in his perspective, but I will say that I don't think the current name is good either. I personally lean towards something more multisensory based, which I'm sure everybody knows. Like, no one is surprised to hear Shaylin say that she believes that this is a multisensory disorder. But with that said, I honestly just wanted to apologize to all of these people and explain that throughout the years, there's been times where we've tried to get together, times where we tried to do things, but you know, different values have crept up. And what you see online is the work of a tremendously dedicated group of people, and more pop up every day, like the Japanese Society, So Quiet, etc. Great organizations that I hope we can all come together to support. The Misophonia podcast, amazing content. And I think I'm very happy to be part of this process, but I'm also learning that any of these inner fightings we had in the past, they feel petty when we look at the bigger picture. And, there were long fights. There was a lot of animosity. I mean, at one point, completely unrelated to all of this, Dr. Brown and I received literal death threats on Christmas Eve on Reddit for a $2 download. So the misophonia community as a whole is not always a fun and amazing space. And as I've said, many cruel things were said, a lot of them by me. I know that I was very based in do, and I still am, probably to my detriment. But I think that there is so much more that we can do research-wise, helping people day to day, and just coming together as a community, I hope. And, helping people with misophonia, helping ourselves, creating a narrative that can be then seen by the outer world so that we are not seen as just these crazy people yelling at each other all the time. Because, research takes time, it takes money. And in the meantime, I understand the practitioners have to be armed with something to help their clinicians. So, CBT, sensory regulation, yada, yada, yada. My book, if you want to read it, you don't have to, but it exists. So, I guess case in point, I hope we can work together. I have opened up the Misophonia Alliance. I'm thinking in the future, maybe we could do like a group chat or, share resources, pool them together, stuff like that. Even if it could be something like decentralized. And just basically, we're all in this together. And I know that that's such a cliche. And I keep talking about the High School Musical, we're all in this together, because I think we are all in this together. And I really, 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 truly think that, the 2020s, the second half, this is going to be the time for misophonia research. I think we're going to see some amazing strides. And I forgot to mention the Misophonia Fund because they kind of weren't involved in drama at all. And I just want to say that I'm super blessed that they are funding research. I'm super blessed at the work of people like Heather Hansen. I love the work of Mercedes Erfanian and Dr. Kumar. And there's so many great researchers coming out. And I don't know why, but a name is escaping me. But anyway, I think everything is going to be good. I don't know. I just have this like really hopeful feeling that things are going to start to turn around for us and we're going to get more and more help with our disorder. Maybe that's me just happy I finally am licensed, but I think it's going to be a good year. And the more things we learn to manage the disorder, the more research we have on what it is and what causes it, all the better. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.